He co-authored Black Lives in the
You're not eating.
Last
Can you video
Frontier
that
and
for
received
me?
an
Yes,
honorary
absolutely.
doctorate from the University of Alaska in 2022. Please put your hands together for Mr. Cal Williams.
Thank you so much, Ashley, and thanks all of you. She's doing it. Pretty lady, not you. Highly talented lady, right here. We don't need you, Milton. Everybody needs Milton. Milton runs this place. This place cannot do anything without Milton.
Thank you, Milton.
And the volunteers that are down here. Always. Thank you for what you do in this holy place. This place is holy. It's a holy place. Why? Because many people who live on this land died in this holy place. This place that we are now in is called the Eastchester Flats. Eastchester, a wonderful name. It was called the Flats when I first came here. All of this land down here was owned by black people. It was muddy, swampy land. There was no running water. There was no electricity. The roads were unpaved. It was down the hill. You just drove down here from up on high ground. This land down here was muddy as all get out during breakup time. Cars had mud over the hubcaps. I came here in 1965. That's what this was. Eastchester, the Flats. There were 5 African-American owned nightclubs down here. The Red Hut, the Big X, Maddie's place. At night, we would have wonderful times with nighttime integration. Integration. All kinds of people, black and white, came down in here and partied down until 5 o'clock in the morning when they went back up the hill and went their separate ways, making money however they could. Most came to build Alaska. We were just following statehood. Who doesn't have food or something making all that noise over there? We had just become a state, 1959. So I was asked today to come and talk to you about who I am and how I got to be so crazy. Who am I and how did I get to be as crazy as I am? All of us in this room, there are thousands and thousands of years of wisdom and knowledge, experience in this room. Give yourself a hand, please. Come on, you can do louder than that. You deserve more than that. Louder for yourself. Come on, give it to yourself. You deserve it. You have survived. I don't know how long you've been here, but I'm gonna say you've been here a long time. All of you. You have invested in this land. This land is your land. This land is my land. From everywhere, even up there on the highway. This land is your land. This land is my land. This land was made for you and me. Every one of us. Seniors in this room. I see a lot of seniors in this room. I was on the senior board, and people were after me for a long time. Cal, you ought to get on the senior board. And I said, I ain't a senior yet. And they said, Cal, you were a senior 20 years ago. So I recognized and realized that I am a senior. And I came from that lady right there. If she would have known that all of you were going to be in this room today, she would have smiled. But she didn't know that you were going to be here today to hear about her. That's my grandmother. She raised me. Why? Because 7 days after I was born, Pearl Harbor was bombed and all of the men disappeared, ran off the war, fighting, carrying on. I was born November 30th, 1941. Pearl Harbor was bombed January the 7th. Well, yes, December 7th. Thank God for Pete. Thank God for Pete. Yeah, 7 days later, after November the 30th, there was this bombing over at Pearl Harbor. And my father and all of the men ran off to war. So the ladies took up the slack. This lady in particular. A lot of black men were coming back to Monroe, Louisiana, all shot up, bloody, nasty. And God forbid, nobody wanted a Southern belle, white lady, to be cleaning them nasty sores and stuff. So they decided, well, what we need to do is make some colored nurses. And then them colored nurses could take in them colored soldiers. So that lady right there, that colored lady, went into the class and became one of the first licensed practical nurses, colored nurses, in Monroe, Louisiana. State of Louisiana. Became the president of all licensed practical colored nurses. First, she was the president of the 5th Congressional District, whatever that is. And then she went on up down the state. Why do I say that? Because the question was, what influenced me? What made me? It was her. I saw her in segregated Monroe, Louisiana, go from who she was to who she became. I saw her engage with white people, colored people, all people, on an equal basis. I thought that these two twins in here, they're not blown up, but I thought these twins were my brothers because my grandmother took care of them and she took care of me with equal love. So they had to be kin to me.
They had to be kin.
They had to be. I thought. I'm growing up in the segregated South. These white kids had to be my brothers and sisters because this woman gave them the same love she gave me. Throughout all of the hatred in the South, following all the things we've been through, Emancipation Proclamation, my God, way back then.
Way back then.
That said we were free and equal way back then when it was signed. So why in the world are we now finding ourselves so divided? Fighting among ourselves, God's children. What in the heck has gotten into our heads? Okay, don't want to preach too much. Let's keep it light. I am proud of America. America's been good to me. I was selected as one of the veterans who went to Washington, D.C. back in April. They make you roll in a wheelchair when you do it. You may have seen some of us on TV as if we couldn't walk. It was a wonderful display honoring veterans from Alaska, the last frontier honor flight. God blessed me even to be one who was selected along with a lady. Hey, a lady was honored. And a native gentleman, God rest his soul, because he was the oldest on the flight and he died 2 months later. The three of us rolled up to the unknown soldier's tomb and put the wreath on. I was so honored. Coincidences within one's life. I didn't plan that in 1940. I didn't plan that ever. But God gives us paths and causes things to happen in our life that we must take advantage of to use for the greater good. We are indebted because of the luck that we have been born. At the time that my 15-year-old mother and 16-year-old father thought they were in love. And God said, all right, crazy fools. I'm gonna bless you, crazy fools. And he created me and gave me to those crazy fools. And my mother was Baptist, and she sang gospel music every day with a Catholic trapped in her womb for 9 months, listening to this stuff. Well, I accepted it. And God was merciful because across the street from this lady was a Catholic school started by Franciscans. A German man named Father Arden Hiller was over there teaching colored children. And this German man was determined to prove to Hitler, who said there was a superior Aryan race. This German man was determined to prove to Hitler that children of every race could learn. 1 and 1 is 2 universally. And he did it. With Little Flower Academy across the street from me, I was blessed to go there because my father, who went into that war, signed a little piece of paper that said I would get $80 a month. And I would get school clothes and stuff. So, coming out of the 8th grade, there I was, Little Flower Academy, on my way to never having to study a book ever again. But my grandmother had other ideas. You're gonna go on to high school, and then you're gonna go on to college. Because once you get it in your head, they can't take it away from you. And my grandfather, wonderful man, could not read. And he, Julius Culpepper, would have me read things for him. Contracts, Bible, whatever. But he'd always say, boy, you sure that's right? And I would get angry. Yeah, that's right. And read it again. Well, that's what he wanted me to do, read it again. So upon hearing it the second time, without telling me, thank you, boy, I love you, he got it in his head, and they couldn't take it out. Julius Culpepper. Over my life, I've been inspired by a lot of people. I have to give credit to George Harper. This man reminded me of my grandfather. He was actually younger than me, but for some reason I thought he was older because he was certainly more mature than me. He was serious enough to see a value in Black history, particularly the older that Black history was. And George was digging all around and coming up with Black folks who had been up here since the 1800s. And I was trying to get him to be more interested in people that I knew down in the club. But he was more interested in, as I say, Blacks who came during the gold rush, Blacks who came and set up law. Michael Healy, the first fire chief of the city of Anchorage, for God's sake, was a Black man. Tom Beavers, who started pronouncing it Bevers. Tom Bevers, who bought all that land up on top of that hill up there in Bevers Estate, which became Fairview, and he was selling it to them colored people who nobody was supposed to be selling it to. My God, who is he? Got the nerve to be starting a fur rendezvous just because he had a few little stinky mink and foxes up there at the corner of 10th and M. Who is this man? Tom Bevers. Didn't find out till his Black sister came in here, dark as a shoe, to claim the body. And everybody said, ooh, he was Black. First fire chief, started the fire department, started the fur rendezvous, had all that land up there. Well, the folks wanted to get up out of this swampy land, and George Sullivan had a plan. Urban renewal came along. Money from HUD, Housing and Urban Development. If you can identify a blighted area this bad, got sewers and running in the streets, we will give you some money, buy that land from those people, and then improve the land with electricity, and then sell it back to those people, and everybody be happy, Mary had a little lamb. That was the story. But it didn't go that way. It took so long for the process to go through. Some of the people who got the money died. Some people spent it up. Some people got stolen from them, etc. And then what happened was what we had. Instead of homes being owned down in here in great abundance, there are a few, but the majority down here are renters, stacked on top of each other. And times have come now that even the renters have 4 sofas in the living room because 4 people are sleeping on sofas in the living room. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. My daughter is down in Arkansas doing the exact same work I was doing 60 years ago. Her name is Marsha Williams White. She is the second vice president of the NAACP there. I'm second vice president of the NAACP here. I'm not saying that to brag, I'm saying that to say, why 60 years of struggle? Why is it taking so long? What inspires me? The fact that I was down there in July and went and saw some of the places that we had been. This church, in the background here, we had marched and done things in that church in '64. I didn't know that when I came here to Alaska in January of '65, that winter, this church was bombed. This picture is a group of black and white kids who went back in there the following summer. And lo and behold, there's my cousin right there in the little corner. He was there. They rebuilt the church in '65. So just this January, I learned some history that I didn't know just by going back. And before I run out of time and out of stuff, I got some more to say, but I want to say to each and every one of you, you are a history maker. I told you before, but all of the time that you've been here, now I'm gonna say to you, you got photographs all around your house, and nobody knows who is in those pictures but you. Write on the back of that picture who that is and what you know about that picture, and give it to the youngest member in your family. Try and get the youngest member in your family to take a great interest in the history of your family, because all history is extremely important. Some of us never get in print until it's our obituary, and somebody else writes that. I say, write your own obituary right now and just stick it in the Bible or wherever you want it to be, because nobody knows you better than you. So write it down. Write your obituary. And you might not die. I mean, you might be the lucky one that don't die. But if you do die, as some of us are gonna, you will have your obituary plan. Jimmy Carter died, and he had his funeral planned down to the drum beat. All presidents do. They put down who's gonna sing and what they're gonna sing and what Bible they're gonna use. Put it down, just in case you die. Now, back to talking about old ugly Cal Williams. Cal Williams went on that pilgrimage, as I told you, back in July. And I was between 2 family reunions, one on my father's side. Come right on in here, late bird. How you been? We've been waiting on you. Want me to start from the beginning? I'll start from the beginning for you. So Cal Williams went on this pilgrimage back in July, down into Jonesboro, where I had been doing all that civil rights work with CORE in the '60s. And my granddaughter was pregnant with Jasper, who had seen on the Facebook, and with these sonograms, oh, don't let them show you that. The baby looked like a monster, I'm telling you, though. If your granddaughter send you a picture of the baby on the sonogram in the 3D, don't look at it. Don't look. It's ugly. But the baby didn't come out that ugly. Here we go. So we were on our way from one family reunion to the other, and my pregnant granddaughter was in the back of the car. And I turned to her, I said, Jasper, boy, come on out there. Pawpaw got to go back to Alaska, and I want to see you before I go. A water broke that night. The helicopter had to fly her over to Little Rock. And 2 days later, I was able to go into the little room they had the boy in there. Good thing he came out early because the boy was 10 pounds, y'all. Oh! Yes, that's what I thought. 10 pounds, way ahead. And I got him over there, but I want to show you the picture where I had to put the belt on his butt. I was the first one. Anyway, there he is. Look at this big old thing. 10 pounds. He came out 6 weeks early.
6 weeks?
He was supposed to be born at the end of August. I had, to fly back here. That boy came out early.
Thank God.
Thank God. Yes, so Jasper is here. That's the inspiration why I continue to fight and struggle and do what I've been doing since the day that Michael Lesser, a tall Jewish guy from New York, came down to Louisiana and said, there is all kinds of, we have some more minutes. There's all kinds of disparity and hopelessness. And I had lived through it and become so accustomed to it that I did not rebel. You've heard the story of the crab or whatever it is that's in the boiling water and the water. So you never know how bad things are until somebody from the outside tell you. Michael Lesser came into Monroe recruiting people for CORE. And I had just come out of the military, ready to go and kill somebody, trained to do it. And they put me through this training of nonviolence and stuff to get rid of the killer in me, to convert me to be not a warrior, but a follower of peace, Christ, and love, and all that good stuff. And they spit on you, and they drag you across the floor and stuff to convert you from being that kind of person ready to go to Vietnam and choke the life out of somebody that somebody else told you to go and choke. You don't even know him, but you're to go kill him. That was where my mind was and my body was. I had muscles in my temple. I had muscles in my neck. I was so ready. Thank God I didn't get a chance to kill anybody, because those penguins over at that Catholic school had drilled so much knowledge in my head that I qualified to go. How do I advance, Ashley? There I am.
Oh.
Look at that fool.
Handsome.
Dang, I should have put that up there earlier. Hey, he was ready to kill somebody, but he was still smiling. He still had hopeful eyes. Hadn't killed anybody, thank God. And there's my group. We were ready, but then they peeled me off over into missiles. I was stationed at Vandenberg Air Force Base with missiles. And Kennedy and the missile crisis and all that stuff, fortunately, he didn't call upon us to push the button, because Cuba would look totally different from what it does today. Thanks be to God. We had some stuff, Titan II. There I am at the Million Man March, 1995 in Washington, D.C. Still eyes on the prize, hoping freedom will come. There's my mentor, George Harper, God rest his soul, who did this work far better than I, but he certainly inspired me to pursue and carry forth his dream. There I am, urging and encouraging people to vote. This building was erected by some black people who got together. It's at the corner of 13th and Gamble. It was featured in Jet magazine. At the groundbreaking, congressmen came from Washington, D.C., etc. So SBA was all excited. Governor Sheffield was extremely excited because this was the first time African Americans got together, planned from blue lines on a piece of paper all the way to this marvelous structure which stands today at the corner of 13th and Gamble. The building was worth at that time $2.5 million.
Whoa.
Charles Levige, who was my classmate back at Little Flower Academy, was the brainchild behind this. So I owe him a great deal because he was the one who convinced me to come to Alaska. Charles Levige, my classmate. You never know where you're gonna go and who's gonna make you go there. One day I was walking down 14th Street there in Fairview, and a lady drove by and she said, "Cal Williams, I've been looking for you." I went down there and I talked to them people down there at that Hilton, Westwood, it was there. That Westwood Hotel. They ain't never had a black man down there working at the desk. And I told them, they ain't never had a black man down there working. And they need one. And they said, if I can find, they'd hire. And I'm sending you. And you better not mess up. So I became the first black to handle the cash register at the Westwood Hotel. Thank you. But the big thing was the doctors used to come and they wanted me to announce that they had a phone call because that way they could advertise for themselves. And I'd go to the building and say, "Dr. Hill, you have a phone call in the lobby. Please pick up the red phone, Dr. Hill." That gave me $5. This snowshoe was given to me by the soldiers out on the base. And I show it today because it was for Juneteenth. I did a presentation there and they created this. It's in my, somewhere in the house. Thank you for sharing your experience and expertise and significance and the importance of Juneteenth with the soldiers of the United States Army in Alaska. The knowledge that you provided will have a lasting impact. A lasting impact, they said at the time. As we work to improve the quality of life and increase mutual understanding. That was then. Where's the date on here? That was, oh my goodness, a couple years ago. And the reason I bring it today is engagements to speak, such as today at places, federal places that have been canceled since Tuesday. Canceled. They said, "Dr. Williams, you have to submit your speech to us, and then we have to approve your speech." And I said, "I like to come and see who's in the audience, and I speak based on who I see, and I talk with the people who are in the audience, and I will not write a speech for people who will be there 30 days from now. I might walk in the building and the world has changed. Bombs have dropped that night, and I'm supposed to go in and still read the Mary Had a Little Lamb that I wrote 30 days prior. Let us be vigilant about our freedoms. The freedom to gather here today. The freedom to speak and say what we have to say. We are the keepers of our history. We are the keepers of our liberty. It is up to each and every one of you in this room to remember the way we were, maintain the love we've known. Let no one drive a wedge between us. Otherwise, you will have let your ancestors down. You don't want to do that. I praise God every day that my daughter is, in fact, doing that same work that her daddy has been doing since the day she was conceived. Her mother was a corps member. I was teamed with her. I was older than my father when this child was conceived. But she's doing that work, and she has her children and grandchildren doing that work. The nuns told me that when you see a piece of paper on the ground, it was your duty to pick it up no matter who had dropped it. And that's what this girl got. And she never met Father Hardwood. I don't know where she got it from. Loyalty to the core. I have to give homage to Harry Ross. Harry Ross was a conductor on the highway, on the train. You knew Harry Ross? He did 53 years on the railroad.
I'm almost sure.
Harry Ross. He sang around nightclubs and stuff, but his legacy is that he worked 53 years on the highway. My dream was to go to Hollywood, and I did. From 71 to 75, there's that old ugly the Hollywood days. But
Is that you?
yeah, kind of ugly. They had me going, do this, do that, and you'll become famous. Well, I'm glad I only did a few things and didn't become famous, because otherwise I wouldn't be here today with you. And this has been the joy of my life, being here with you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashton. Thank you for this opportunity.
Also, one big round of applause for Cal. And thank you for all you being patient. If you'd like to get seconds, you're more than welcome to. Our volunteers are back, and you guys can go.